Finding Nemo. "Come on, Dad," Nemo called out. "It's time for school." The little clownfish Nemo was ready for his first day of school. One of Nemo's fins was smaller than the others, so he was not a great swimmer. Nemo, however, didn't let it slow him down. But his father, Marlin, wasn't ready for Nemo to go. He was very protective of his son, so he worried a lot. "All right," Marlin reluctantly agreed that he went over the safety rules. "So, first, we check to see that the coast is clear," coached Marlin, "as we swim out of the anemone. Oh. We go out and back in. And then we go out and back in. And then—" "Dad," Nemo interrupted. He tugged on his father's fin and pulled him out at last. Soon, Nemo and Marlin arrived at the schoolyard. The teacher, Mr. Ray, sailed in to take the children on a field trip. "Bye, Dad," Nemo shouted as Mr. Ray swam away. "Bye, son," Marlin called. "Be safe." "You're doing pretty well," remarked one of the other fathers to Marlin. "I had a tough time when my oldest went out to the big drop-off," Marlin gasped. "The drop-off?" The drop-off was the edge of the reef. There, a fish could swim right into the open sea and right into danger. Marlin immediately tried to catch up with the school group. Meanwhile, Nemo, with his new friends, Tad, Sheldon, and Pearl, sneaked away a look over the edge of the drop-off. "I know what time that is. A butt," said Tad, pointing up to the bottom of a boat. But Sheldon dared them to see who could swim closest to it. Finally, it was Nemo's turn. "Come on, Nemo. How far can you go?" Tad challenged. "Oh, my dad says it's not safe," Nemo said, not moving. After a moment, Marlin arrived. "You were about to swim into open water," he accused. "You think you can do these things, but you just can't, Nemo." Nemo was angry and embarrassed, and soon, as his father turned his back, Nemo defiantly took off and swam all the way to the boat. "Nemo, get back here," Marlin shouted. But it was too late. A diver appeared with a scooped-up Nemo in a net, swam on the boat, and sped off. Marlin couldn't swim fast enough to catch up with the boat. When he swam into a stream of fish to ask for help, he slammed into one of them. "Sir, are you okay?" asked the friendly bluefish. "Hi, I'm Dory. I have to find the boat," said Marlin. "Hey, I've seen a boat. Follow me," she said. Marlin followed Dory until she suddenly turned around and said, "Stop following me!" Marlin was confused until Dory explained, "I suffer from short-term memory loss." Marlin turned to leave and found himself facing a shark. Bruce the shark invited them to a party in a sunken submarine. The party was a meeting of sharks trying not to eat fish. While there, Marlin spotted a diver's mask that had been dropped by Nemo's captor. Marlin hoped the writing on the mask could help him find his son. "Ugh! What do these markings mean? I can't read human," explained Marlin. "Well, we gotta find a fish that can," encouraged Dory. They both grabbed the mask, which snapped and hit Dory in the face. "Ow!" cried Dory, and blood trickled from her nose. The smell of blood made Bruce want to eat fish again. The party was over because Bruce chased the two fish. Luckily, Merlin and Dory escaped from the sub with the mask, and Dory remembered she could read. But before she could read, the mask fell into the deep, dark ocean trench. Dory and Merlin plunged into a scary blackness after it. They couldn't see a thing. Then Dory cried, "I see a light." But the light turned out to be a hungry anglerfish trap. The pair dodged the anglerfish's teeth just in time. As the anglerfish chased them, the light fell on something. "Hey, look, a mask!" Dory shouted. "Read it," Marlin ordered, trying to keep the anglerfish away from Dory. "Bring him closer. I need the light," Dory answered. Merlin led the angelfish back and forth while Dory read the address on the mask. And then Dory and Marlin escaped in the rocks in the nick of time. P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, said Dory proudly. And then they swam up. "Now where is that?" wondered Marlin. It turned out that 42 Wallaby Way was a dentist's office in Sydney, Australia. The diver who had caught Nemo was the dentist, and he put the little fish into his office aquarium. The aquarium was home of an interesting group known as the Tank Gang. A friendly pelican named Nigel was perched on the dentist's window visiting the Tank Gang. From there, Nemo found out he was going to become a gift for the dentist's niece, Darla. The Tank Gang told Nemo that the dentist had been given Darla a fish last year and it hadn't survived. "I had to get back to my dad," cried Nemo, horrified. The leader of the Tank Gang, Gil, reassured Nemo they would find a way to escape before Darla arrived. Meanwhile, back in the ocean, P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. Dory proudly repeated the address over and over. Marlin asked the school of moonfish if they could tell them how to get to Sydney. The moonfish didn't want to help Marlin, but they were happy to help Dora. They formed themselves into an arrow pointing in the direction of Sydney. "Great," said Merlin, rushing off in that direction. They had indicated, "Oh, hey, Mama," the moonfish said to Dory. "When you come to the trenches, swim through it, not over it." "I'll remember," said Dory, as she hurried to catch up with Marlin. "I gotta tell you something," Dory said to Marlin. When she finally caught up the edge of the scary trenches, she couldn't remember what she needed to say. "We're going to swim over this thing," said Marlin. "Something tells me we should swim through it," said Dory, but Marlin easily tricked her into forgetting. She happily followed him. As it turns out, danger was lurking in clear water above the trench. Dory was the first to find it. "Ow," Dory yelled. A baby jellyfish had stung her. Marlin rushed over and shooed the baby away. "Let's be thankful this time it was just a little one," Marlin said. But when they looked around, Marlin and Dory discovered that they were surrounded by hundreds of jellyfish. "This is bad," said Marlin. But Dory was giggling. "Hey, watch this," she said, bouncing on the tops of the jellyfish. Marlin quickly made a game of jumping on the jellyfish tops. "But that was one rule. You can't touch the tentacles," Marlin explained. The race began. After a while, Marlin hopped out of the jellyfish forest, but he turned around. Dory was nowhere to be seen. "Dory," Merlin cried. Then he saw her caught in the jellyfish tentacles. Marlin swam back to his friend and dragged her out of the jellyfish. force, and everything went black. Later, Merlin woke up to find that he was riding on the back of a sea turtle named Crush. "Saw the whole thing, dude," said Crush. He was quite impressed with Merlin's bravery. Marlin and Dory were in a group of sea turtles traveling on the East Australian current, heading for Sydney. Marlin told the turtles about the quest to find Nemo. The story passed quickly from sea creature to sea creature. Finally, Nigel the pelican, found a friend of the tank gang, heard about Merlin's search. The ride on the current was great fun for Merlin and Dory, but suddenly Crush called out, "Get ready, your exit is coming up, man." "Thank you, dude, Crush," Merlin shouted as he and Dory left the current. They soon found themselves in a very murky water. "Looking for Sydney, the tank gang? Let's ask someone for directions," suggested Dory. Spotting what looked like a small fish far away, "There's somebody. It wasn't a fish. It could ingest us," Merlin said nervously. But Dory continued. "Woohoo, little fella," she called. But soon Merlin and Dory discovered that the little fish was a giant whale. In one big moment, it swallowed them both. "We're in a whale stomach, Merlin." "Wow, a whale, you know." "I speak whale," Dory. Listen carefully to the whale's loud moans. He said, "We should go to the back of the throat." Merlin was irritated. "Of course that's what he wants us to go there. That's eating us." "He said it's time to go," Dory told Merlin. So Merlin let go. Suddenly, he and Dory soon found themselves being shot out of the whale spout and flew into the air. They splashed back into the sea. When the two of them had recovered, they realized that they were in Sydney Harbor, right where Dory. "We made it! We're going to find my son," cheered Merlin. "All we have to do is find the boat that took him." But Sydney Harbor was full of boats. The two fish searched all through the night. The next morning, a hungry pelican scooped the exhausted pair of fish in his beak and flew towards the island. "No, I didn't come this far to be breakfast," yelled Merlin. He braced himself in the pelican's throat so the bird couldn't swallow him. The pelican coughed, and the two fish landed on the pier. Just then, Nigel arrived. "I gotta find my son, Nemo," screamed Merlin. Nigel recognized Merlin as Nemo's father. "Hey, wait! Hop inside my mouth," he told Merlin and Dory. "I can take you to your son." Back at the dentist's office, things were going badly for little Nemo. Niece Darla was due to arrive any moment. The dentist had Nemo in a water-filled plastic bag ready to give to her. The dentist placed the bag with the panicked Nemo on a table. The tank gang instructed Nemo to push the sides of the bag so it would roll out of the open window. But just as Nemo succeeded in getting the bag rolling, the dentist noticed. "Oh, that would be a nasty fall," the dentist said, catching the bag, seeing it down the trash. Suddenly, the door of the office slammed open, and Darla stomped in. But Nemo had an idea. He pretended to be dead, hoping that the dentist would flush him down the toilet. From there, Nemo planned to swim to the ocean. "Hello, Darla, honey," said the dentist to his niece. "Oh no," he murmured when he noticed the motionless Nemo. The dentist quickly hid the bag behind his back so Darla wouldn't see it. Moments later, the window burst open. In flew Nigel, carrying Dory and Merlin. "What the?" exclaimed the dentist with Nigel collaring with him. The dentist dropped the bag holding Nemo on a tray. A sharp instrument on the tray tore a small hole in the bag. Then, from his view in Nigel's beak, Merlin spotted Nemo and thought his son was dead. "Nemo!" he cried. Nemo heard his father's voice, but it was too late. The dentist had closed Nigel's beak and shoved him out the window. In the confusion, Darla had picked up the bag and swung it back and forth, chanting, "Fishy! Fishy!" Nemo poured out of the hole in the bag and became stranded on the dental tools. The tank game came to the rescue. With the help of his fish friends, Gil catapulted out of the tank, hit the dentist tools with the tail, and launched Nemo through Darla's grasping hands into the spit sink. Nemo disappeared down the drain. "Don't worry," Gil yelled at him. "All drains lead to the ocean." Whoosh! Nemo swooshed and swerved through the pipes. It was quite a ride. Back in Sydney Harbor, Marlin sadly said goodbye to Nigel and Dory. He swam past the two crabs on the drain pipe, and he joined a school of grouper fish. Marlin started the long swim home. Nemo, meanwhile, ended his ride through the pipes of Sydney. He popped up a hole next to the very same two crabs. "Oh, got a live one here," said one crab. "Have you seen my dad?" Nemo asked. But as soon as he realized the crabs were only interested in catching and eating him, so off Nemo swam in the opposite direction his father had went. Before long, Nemo found Dory, swimming in circles and crying. "I don't know where I am. I think I lost somebody, but I need to remember. I'm Nemo," said the little fish. "I'm looking for somebody too, Nemo." "That's a nice name," murmured Dory, not paying much attention. The two fish searched together for a while. Suddenly Dory remembered. "Nemo," she grasped the little guy and faced him with her fins. "You're not dead. And your father." "You know my father?" asked Nemo. But Dory already moving. "This way, quickly." Marlin rushed to Nemo. Father and son were together at last. "Look out," yelled Dory, as the enormous fish net suddenly swept past them. The net missed Nemo and Marlin, but Dory and the groupers were caught. "Help!" screamed Dory. "Dad, I know what to do," Nemo called, rushing in to the rescue. "No, no, no! Come back!" shouted Marlin. He couldn't wait to lose his son again. "Dad," said Nemo, "I can do this." "I know you can," Marlin finally agreed. As Nemo swam into the net with the other fish, Nemo urged the fish deep inside the net to swim to the bottom, while Marlin took the ones near the outside of the net to do the same. Together, Nemo and Marlin rallied the fish to swim together, causing the net to break loose. All of the fish escaped, cheering. Nemo and Marlin were reunited. Nemo and Marlin brought Dory back to their reef. Nemo started school again. He was overjoyed to be with his friends and Mr. Ray, the school teacher. Just as Mr. Ray started to pull up, Nemo looked back at his dad. Then Nemo asked Mr. Ray to wait. Nemo raced back and gave his dad a big hug. "I love you, Dad," said Nemo. "I love you too, son," said Marlin, holding tightly. "Now go have an adventure."